chair and secretary for this ensuing year. Currently, I happen to be the chair. I didn't remember that, but certainly would accept nominations for the office of chair, and would certainly encourage some of our budget committee members that are laypersons from the public to throw their hand up for this.
I would nominate Mike Bryson.
Right. Is there any further nominations? I'm not gonna ask you again. Mike, are you okay with that?
I suppose so.
Okay, all in favor of Mike Bryson, signify by aye.
Right.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries, and Mike, you can take up the secretary.
We need nomination for secretary for the 2024-25 budget committee. Are there any motions?
I nominate Shelley Hennessy. You didn't want to be president, or you didn't want to be chair. Same thing about secretary.
Do I hear any other nominations? Hearing none, then motion for Shelley to be the secretary. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. I didn't hear anything. Got my hearing aid back.
That's it.
Shelley will be the secretary. We'll go ahead and start with the presentation of the budget message.
All right, I guess that's me.
That's right.
I got my water, get a little dry and parched. So, you know, this, I have a habit for too many years, decades doing this. I have a canned presentation walking through this, but I often will go high and right and just start ad-libbing stuff. So I'm going to start off ad-libbing right now. Yeah, this thing says, I want to thank each of you and all that stuff. But sincerely, I have worked for public agencies for over 40 years. So I've done this a time or two. And one of the most difficult, challenging things that I've experienced is trying to get community members to participate in the budget committee. Because who wants to do math all day long? So we are so blessed to have a set of citizens from our community who are interested and who are committed to helping us do the right thing for the community. And so really, that's my thanks sincerely to the group of people. Some of them are absent today, but it has been a pleasure. 6 years I've been doing this here. This slide on the screen is specifically chosen because we get challenged all the time about our budget. We get envy about our budget all across the state. I will tell you, of the 44 PSAPs in Oregon, there are 3 of them like us. And I will tell you, the other 41 want to be us. And we are very fortunate because we can do things like that on the screen because of our fiscal conservatorship and our ability to manage our funds within means. What you're looking at there is the Meisner site, which the district has had for a number of years, and it's been in need of a desperate refresh for years. And the funds from our equipment reserve fund paid cash for that. And it will be complete right there. We still need some gravel down. We need a fence. And next week we migrate all the equipment from the old shelter into the new one. We're hanging new antennas and new microwave dishes, and that's all coming from our equipment reserve fund. We don't go in debt. We pay cash for our stuff. And so that's what we're here for today. So the fine print in preparing this proposal, consideration was given to the express wishes of the public, staff, partners, and committee members. In compliance with the Oregon local budget law, this annual budget for fiscal year 24-25 is balanced between total projected resources and requirements as prepared and submitted. The annual budget is intended to serve as a financial plan for the next fiscal year outlining forecasted expenditures, requirements, and proposed means for financing these requirements. An operational plan for the use and deployment of personnel, materials and services, and other resources during the 24-25 fiscal year. An active financial guide to implement district goals and objectives. And finally, communication device to our public. Within the annual budget, the district funds are grouped as follows. The general fund, which is used to record financial transactions relating to all activities of the district for which specific types of funds are not required. We have a facilities reserve fund used to record financial transactions relating to the building, modeling, or relocating of 911 operations. Equipment reserve fund used to accumulate needed funds for the communications equipment, the systems, replacements, and upgrades. And then finally, revenue loss reserve fund used to accumulate funds to offset expenses when revenue is lost. Anytime you guys have questions, shout out because I'm looking at my screen now. The Board of Directors adopting resolution authorizing appropriations for each fund at the end of the budget process, setting the level by which expenditures cannot exceed appropriations. Funds for personal services, materials and services, capital outlay, fund transfers, and contingency are the levels of control for each fund established by resolution. Appropriations lapse at the fiscal year end. District administration, working with the Board of Directors, completed a strategic planning process in 2014, which has nearly been implemented. A new strategic plan will be developed this fiscal year, along with a review of the district missions and value statement. The district will address personnel needs with regard to recruiting, training, and retaining of staff. Services and assets will continue to be maintained. Board and staff members will begin planning for major radio system upgrades and develop a plan to finance the project. Staff will continue with district facility upgrades and will work to find an appropriate solution for a backup center, which could involve some of our regional partnerships that have been formed. Proposed budget expenditures for fiscal year 24-25 for all funds total $14,842,838. This represents an increase of $2,676,528 or 22%. The increase is primarily due to a few things. This year, the district switched from an accrual base. Say that again. This year, the district switched from an accrual basis to a cash basis, which impacted how both expenditures and revenues are reported and when. Other impacts to the increase are anticipated wage adjustments, the projected increase in health insurance premium rates, the increase in the district's PERS rates, and an increase in CAD maintenance expenses, and legal costs associated with the planning of a potential new radio system and a general obligation bond election. Burks, is it possible to tilt that screen a little bit more too? So yeah, absolutely. You can see. Slightly awkward seeing. He took away the barrier from the very It is. Yep. Thank you. Hurts? No, fine. Critical issues and budget development guidelines approved by the Board of Directors relative to this budgetary category is shown here. So this is personnel services. Yep. On average, the district sees an annual turnover rate of 2 operational staff employees. Typically, they are trainee positions who were not successful in our training program. In the past 12 months, the district hired 3 ComSpecs, 2 which were of lateral transfers from other 911 centers. Nice thing about laterals is generally they have a much faster training window. This current fiscal year, we have had 3 ComSpecs leave the district, 2 to work at neighboring centers, and another who resigned due to his family moving out of state. We had 1 staff member who was terminated, and we had a ComSpec who promoted to a staff position within administration. The end result is that we have all 3 lead dispatcher positions filled, and we have 2 new employees scheduled to start in May and the end of June. The district is never not conducting a recruitment process seeking qualified candidates for the ComSpec position. This past year, we have seen a notable improvement in the quantity and the quality of applications being submitted. As it has been a challenge the last few years, certainly since COVID, that there was some sketchy applicants, and they have certainly improved. And the quantity getting numbers back up. So that feels good. The district concluded negotiations with Columbia 911 Dispatchers Association for a 3-year contract that began July 2023. The annual 2023 U.S. cities average CPIW was 3.8%. Anticipated wage increases as a result of bargaining have been considered in the development of this budget. It is the board's practice to consider administrative staff compensation adjustments in conjunction with the collective bargaining impacts following contract settlements. This budget has been prepared with that historical practice. That's an eye chart. The goal of the district continues to be an operational staff minimum of 3 ComSpecs nearly 24 hours a day. Our lead dispatchers continue to provide support to the operations floor and assist the operations manager with various tasks. With the lead dispatchers, we continue to achieve staff support and ongoing training requirements and offer more efficient coverage for earned leave requests using less overtime assignments. On the administrative staff side, this past year saw the hiring of a new CFO, Vicki Nichols. We talked about her last year that we were on the cusp of hiring a new CFO, and Mickey came on right after budget. And so this year has been a year of learning for Mickey. It has been a year of transition. I mentioned earlier that we changed our accounting practices, and we were in desperate need of a financial software refresh, and Mickey accomplished that. And of course, budget bill this year was a brand new experience for Mickey, and Mary Jo just was flying colors, helping us learn how Nancy did things. A lot of time of reversing engineering some of how we got to where we are, but we're here and we're very thankful. So kudos to Mickey. We also had an internal promotion of a part-time ComSpec to a full-time training coordinator. And this budget accounts for anticipated merit-based step increases for employees who are not at the top of their wage scale, certifications projected to be finished, and longevity milestones that will be reached. Currently, only 39% of the district employees are at the top step of their wage scales. The district's health insurance administrator, city county insurance services, announced its not to exceed rate adjustments beginning January of 2025 during their annual conference this past February. The maximum not to exceed rate for Kaiser Medical Insurance, which is about half of our employees and dependents are enrolled in, is 10%. There is a 5% increase projected for a Regency Blue Cross Blue Shield medical plan, and the vision premium is projected at 6%. Regency Dental plan is projecting a 5% increase, and Kaiser Dental has projected no increase for the next renewal period. The City County Insurance Board of Trustees will adopt final rate changes later this month, but I think we got those. We just got notice of those. So it's not part of this package, but do we have those numbers?
They're looking at 15 to 20% increase. That's what we're talking about, insurance. And I did account for 15%. I just didn't have the 15 to 20 spread at the time that I accounted for that in here.
Thank you. To help offset the out-of-pocket expenses that employees incur for medical expenses, the district continues to contribute to a voluntary employee benefit account, HRA VIBA. This benefit begins for employees on their 1-year anniversary, and the monthly contribution for all employees is currently 2.5% plus $20 of the communication specialist top step, which will be approximately $2,112 per year per employee. The district has employees that qualify for Tier 1. Those are folks that were hired before December 31st, 1995. I think we have one left. Tier 2, hired before August 29 of 2003, an Oregon Public Service Retirement Plan, OPSERV. And these folks are hired after August 29 of 2003. The retirement plans through the Oregon PERS. All Tier 1, Tier 2, and OPSERV members also participate in the individual account program, otherwise known as the IAP. District staff members contribute 6% of their own wages to their employee IAP account. The district does not pick up that contribution for its employees. Senate Bill 1049 went into effect July 1st of 2020 and redirects a portion of the 6% contribution into the employee stability account, which is used to pay future pension benefits. Tier 1, Tier 2 have 2.4% of their 6% contribution divided into this redirected IAP, and OPSERV have 0.65% per day. These changes will end once the pension is 90% funded, which experts believe to be 11 years away. I think that's gonna happen. The PERS board conducts I never say this word right, actuarial. Yeah, okay. Valuations every year to give employers an indication of future rates. The December 2022 actuarial rate for Columbia 911 as a member of the local government group that will go in effect July 1 of 23. I'm not too sure why this paragraph is here. Is 25.5% for Tier 1 and Tier 2 employees, up from 24.23. And then the OPSERV folks is 23.64. Make a note. We need to look at that paragraph. That just doesn't make sense. Okay, moving on. Personnel services continued. The total appropriation for personnel services for fiscal year 24-25 is $3,197,910 and represents 42.8% of our total general fund budget. This is an increase of 0.75% over the last fiscal year. This year's budget maintains that the communication specialist staffing level at 17 positions, which includes the 3 lead dispatch positions and 2 part-time positions. Also maintained are the current administrative positions. Primary reason for the increase in this year's budget are anticipated wage increases and increases to our PERS expense. 0.75. This slide showing our service demands for the telephone system. So it's just showing our traffic answered by the comp specs. And as you can see by the numbers, still recovering from the drop in service caused by the pandemic. While we're on this slide though, you know, how much things that we do here, how many calls we take, how many calls we dispatch is always interesting stuff. But I think it's far more important to talk about how well we do what we do. And so while the work volume we see here is interesting, there are actual national standards for our performance for those calls. The national standards that we strive to meet are derived from both the National Emergency Number Association, NENA, and the Association of Public Safety Communications Officials, APCO. These are the 2 general global leading 911 advisory and advocacy firms in the country and actually international. So what's important here? The national standard is 90% of all 911 calls arriving at a PSAP shall be answered within 10 seconds. 90% of all 911 calls will be answered within 10 seconds. That's the goal. Secondary, 95% of all 911 calls shall be answered within 20 seconds. 90% within 10 seconds, 95% within 20 seconds. How do we do? Well, I have an answer for you. Our stats are 97.91% of all 911 calls were answered within 10 seconds. And 99.65% of all 911 calls were answered within 20 seconds. So we put the standards to bed and we tuck it in. Perform exceedingly fast and well. I'll go back one because there was one more point. Our average answer time is 5.38 seconds. Just do a brief Google search on 911 answer times in the Portland metro region. I'll say nothing else. Much like the previous slide, one can see here that there continues to be an increase for calls for service, climbing out of the ditch that we fell into with COVID. This last year, CAD incidents rose 2.4% over the previous year. The other bucket of expenditures is materials and services. The critical issues and budget development guidelines approved by the board of directors relate to this budget category. And I don't know if this is accurate. It's not. I think so. What page it's on in your book there?
What's that?
What page is materials and services?
21.
It is 21. This is accurate. This thing always gets off on the page. So excellent. Somebody's paying attention to this. In addition to critical issues, the primary purpose of the amounts proposed in the materials and service line item for this year include maintaining current levels of service, maintaining buildings and equipment and facilities. Over the time, the district has endeavored to keep these costs as low as possible by utilizing competitive bid processes when seeking outside services or equipment, and all the while still maintaining a stable and up-to-date systems. Total budget amount proposed for fiscal year 24-25 increased by $27,000. 2.09% from the prior fiscal year. Line items have been increased or decreased based on fluctuations projected by our vendors, projected needs, and or historical usage. Funds are included for our annual lease payments to Weyerhaeuser for our Clatskanie Mountain and Pisgah home sites, to the Oregon Department of Transportation for the site that we co-locate with them at Green Mountain, and to Day Wireless Systems for Columbia Heights radio site. Improvements continue to be made to our radio system to bring radio equipment and sites up to industry standards. Funds are being budgeted to address potential updates and repairs at sites, as well as to include the items not covered under maintenance agreements. Included in this line item is the annual lease payment for Equiture, which is our voice recording platforms. The preventative maintenance agreement for our radio system also includes the maintenance of our Motorola Gold Elite console equipment, and that's found within the dispatch center. Monies continue to be included to fund that portion of the agreement that to cover those items that are not included in our maintenance agreements. So we have maintenance agreements with Day Wireless for the radio system, but there are portions of their maintenance agreement that don't cover some services or equipment. So we have to fund for that. Same thing in the dispatch center itself, the console equipment is not covered under any warranty, any service. So we pay those out of pocket. There's a bunch of things that we have partial payments for and agreements outside that we have to pay for. CAD. CAD is an integral tool for service delivery. The district joined a regional consortium, MAGICS, which stands for Metro Area CAD System, and partnered in the development and deployment that was completed in fiscal year 2018-19. But included in this bucket of money is the district's portion of the annual maintenance of that CAD system. Our share of expense for the MAGICS manager, we have a person who just manages the actual beast of CAD. CAD networking costs and the station alert interface, that's fire station alert that we have that's separate from the MAGICS payments. Also included in this expense, we have fiber optic connections, as well as costs of several backup connections. The Oregon 911 program maintains 2 accounts for the 911 excise tax that you see on your phones. They receive those funds and equipment services for all of the state Oregon's 911 centers. Over the past several years, the state has put in place several cost-cutting measures to help maintain these 2 accounts. I'm going to say that again. The state has put into place several cost-cutting measures, which means they transferred those liabilities to us. So save some money there, spend some money over here. The 911 district has become responsible for the maintenance of one of our 5 dispatch positions, as well as associated costs to maintain the 911 phone system, analytic software, maintaining the 5th position and the software system to measure our performance is critical to our operations. The estimated funds to maintain these items continue to be included in this line item. On the admin side, this past year, the district staff recommended and we moved to Microsoft 365. This cloud-based service eliminates the need for on-premise email and file hosting and provides increased security and reliability. Funds have been included for the continued subscription of this service. Quality assurance and quality improvement programs are vital in assuring that core functions are compliant to district, state, and national standards. These programs are focused on processes and systems that are developed through a uniform standardized training. Logistically, though, I'll tell you, they are very challenging to set up and administer within the staffing limitations of an organization of our size. With the Columbia County Ambulance Service Area being approved by the county commissioners this year, the district staff will begin the process to develop our QA/QI program in partnership with our medical advisor and our EMS partners to review operational policies, and evaluate a percent of the district's 911 medical costs. All good stuff. The district payroll and accounting software program has been needed to be upgraded and replaced. With the arrival of our new CFO, the district undertook this total replacement of our accounting software. Funds have been included to continue this upgrade and annual subscription. Telecommunications Oregon Emergency Management continues to pay for the district's 8 enhanced 911 trunks, as well as for statewide wireless network costs. In the past, we have recorded these expenditures as a revenue and expense to fully capture the true expense as a cost of operation. This year, the Oregon Emergency Management 911 program did fund the replacement of 4 of our 5 911 telephone workstations. And the district is responsible to pay for the 5th, as I mentioned earlier. Over the last few years, the state has been unreliable, shocking, in accounting for the PSAPs, the expenses that are being paid for, and we've had to rely on averages from prior years to report these expenses. The district is seeing signs of improvement from the state. We have been able to document some revenue from the state, and it is included in this proposal. We continue to fund the 6 lines in this room that are used when there is an activation of the Public Information Center, emergencies within the county. Other options for handling these situations are continuing to be explored that won't require funding of phone lines that are rarely used, but are important in managing a countywide event. Elections. A measure renewing the 5-year local option tax was submitted to the elections for the district for this May. Columbia County voters have approved 5 consecutive levies, each for a period of 5 years. We are confident that the levy will garner voters' approval, but if the levy fails, the district will need to put in an identical measure for the November 2024 ballot. Staff continues to work with the Special Districts Association to research how the district is going to fund a radio system replacement project during this next year. Special Districts is recommending that the district seek voter approval of a GO bond issuance. Funds have been included for the potential of a bond measure on the ballot at a future date. Business insurance. Through the Special Districts Insurance Services Best Practices Program, the district identifies risk prevention and healthy business practices in use by the district that are recommended as best practices by SDIS. For each year that the district adds best practice and or maintains best practices, credits are given against the insurance premiums. For the calendar year of 2024, the district received $4,851 in best practice credits, as well as $1,949 for multi-line discount. As a follow-up from last year's discussion, the district has taken steps to help protect our data assets from cyber attacks that are happening at an alarming rate across the country. Last year, the district's insurance agent of record strongly recommended that the district add additional coverage to cover higher limits. This has been accomplished and funds have been included to continue this coverage. Professional services. Significant adjustments have been made to fund the district's increasing need for legal oversight, the collective bargaining agreement, radio site agreements, public purchasing rules, intergovernmental agreements, policy review, and unforeseen labor issues, advice, and litigation. Additional funds have been set aside to address potential legal advice for the issuance of a GO bond. This proposal funds the contracted services of a consultant or consultants that staff may use for communications, training, and strategy building. This consultant may also assist staff in reviewing our mission statements and identifying goals that will help in the development of a new 5-year strategic plan. It is the intent of the district to engage with a public relations firm to assist in the development of informational pamphlets during this next year. The district is anticipating to increase the publications in order to help educate the citizens of the county regarding our radio project. These informational mailings should help as a public education tool to promote an appropriate use of 911 and to spread public safety messages on behalf of our public safety partners in Columbia County. The district takes every opportunity to attend community events to foster public education and awareness throughout the year. The district continues to use social media options as well as the district's website to keep public education costs contained. So as you can see on the slide there, our total proposed budget for utilities and services, $1,321,500. It's a $27,000 increase from last year or 2.09%. Capital outlay all funds. The critical issues and budget development guidelines approved by the board of directors relative to this budget category are ensure optimally functioning equipment to allow for effective service delivery, ensure continued emergency communications in the event of disaster by securing a viable backup communications environment, ensure facility security and proper state of maintenance, and maximize interoperability projects through partnerships with other neighboring jurisdictions. A 2015 evaluation of our emergency communications radio and paging system identified several equipment enhancements, upgrades, and replacements that need to be completed. This work has never stopped. Recent developments from this past year include site development. As reported last year, until the district decides on the recommendations received from federal engineering's work in assisting the district in soliciting qualified radio system vendors who will propose a solution to replace our severely aging radio system. The following status of sites improvements are presented. Pisgah home site. This site may be a viable solution of any new radio system. The district expects to see an engineered design of a radio system very soon, and that final determination will be revealed. Dixie Mountain, this past year, this site is shared with the FAA, and this site had been recommended for any development plans. However, so far, the site has never been listed by any vendor as a potential site. So this past year, the lease was up, and the lease was with the FAA, and it was up for renewal this last fiscal year. The district has chosen to abandon this site and not renew the lease. Meisner site, talked about a little bit earlier, despite the delays caused by the COVID pandemic, the Meisner site will be concluded before the end of June. We moved from telephone poles and a fragile shelter to a 150-foot self-supporting tower and a new to us shelter, updated propane power generator and tank. Oh, that one photo got turned. Sorry about that. The tower is not laying on its side. Actually, it's really erect.
I thought you thought by now we'd be.
Yeah. You know, when I built this slide, I had. Future site development. Haven Acres. This district's use site is located north of Clatskanie, provides radio coverage along Highway 30 to the west of Clatskanie or DeWan. This site is due for significant upgrades. Again, depending on radio system vendor designs, this site could be in play for any new system. Planning and equipment costs have been budgeted for the near future upgrades to this site. During the stakeholder interviews on the expectations and desires of the new radio systems, conversations took place about the need for additional radio site locations regardless of which system is selected. Preliminary verbal agreements have been established to construct new district towers at multiple locations around the county. Some of these potential property locations are currently owned by partner fire districts, private parties, and or other governmental entities. Staff continues to explore other opportunities as they arise. Equipment upgrades. Following the district's entry into a contract for phase one of the radio system replacement with Federal Engineering, who conducted a total review of the existing VHF ready radio system and review of the responses we received from the RFI published in 2018. Phase two of our project saw that during this past year, they pursued a potential direct procurement with one vendor, as well as published an invitation to bid to the other three major radio system vendors. The district expects to hear from Federal Engineering with a final recommendation next month. Phase three of the radio project will include contracting with a firm who will act on our behalf for procurement and project management of the build out of the new system. Microwave upgrade. So our radio system is a system of systems, meaning it is one that is made up of two separate parts. The primary component is the land mobile radio, and the subsystem is made up of microwave dishes, antennas, microwave transmitters, and receivers. These two separate systems ensure that the LMR portion of the system stays in synchrony and that transmissions are sent from tower to tower, from tower to mobile and portable radios on the ground. The district's microwave system was also obsolete and in need of upgrading. Despite knowing the final determination of the new radio system design and needed site locations, there remained some sites that were known, that's a mistake, grammatical error, I'm catching myself finally, that were known to continue to be used regardless and will be kept for whatever new radio system is purchased. This past year, the district continued moving forward with the final phase of the microwave upgrades. The microwave pathway between Dispatch and Green Mountain in Washington State is now complete, as well as the path between Clatskanie Mountain and Meisner, which is scheduled to be complete next week. CAD system, highly complex. The district joined three other PSAPs to purchase and develop a regional CAD system 6 years ago. CAD systems are in a constant state of change and upgrades due to system requirements and user needs. This current fiscal year, the primary servers located at our regional partners facilities were replaced. This next fiscal year, 24-25, all of our local computers that run CAD are scheduled to be replaced. Funds have been identified and budgeted for this project. Additionally, we continue to research other redundant pathways that enable Columbia 911 to remain connected by both radio and CAD for our regional partners in both Oregon and Washington. The district is a member of the Portland Dispatch Center Consortium. We call it the PDCC. PDCC is an ORS 190 organization that includes 8 emergency communication centers found within the federal government's defined Portland UASI region. UASI stands for Urban Area Security Initiative, a byproduct of the events of 9/11. This past year, the PDCC contracted with a third-party consultant, Mission Critical Partners, to conduct a same 8 communication centers on the resiliency and capability to survive and continue operations under adverse conditions. While the final report is not scheduled to be presented for several more months, each of us have received some preliminary findings. Columbia 911 is looking into the feasibility to enact some changes, such as the district's fire alarm and sprinkler system is the original one constructed with the modular facility in 1999. It was built with the additions of the radio room, the MIC, and the extension. While the sprinkler system is adequate for the majority of our buildings, one area of concern is our radio and data services area. Just so you know, water and electronics don't make good friends. The district will begin to research the possibility to convert those workspaces to a water-free extinguishing agent type of system. As part of the resiliency project, the district is happy to report that we are very recently recipients of some federal grant funds that allowed us to purchase some portable Vesta workstation. Vesta is the model of our 911 phone system. These portable devices will allow C911 staff to pick up and relocate and still be able to answer 911 calls for help. With the purchase of these remote 911 call taking equipment and the previously acquired CAD computers, it is the desire of the district to finish the build out of 3 remote dispatch workstations that are in the extension building. We need to finally purchase and install radios to complete the capability for training and added capacity to the district. Funds have been budgeted for these projects. Moving on to resources, some of the significant changes from the prior fiscal year. Proposed budget revenue for fiscal year 24-25 for all funds totals $14,842,838. This represents an increase of $2,676,528, or 22% increase from the current fiscal year. All funds total of $12,166,310. A lot of numbers there. Due to primarily to an increase in net working capital, which was the result of capital projects not being completed this past fiscal year, an increase in projected property tax collection, that's a good thing, and an increase in the 911 excise tax, and an increase in interest. The district's net working capital has fluctuated over the years. For fiscal year 24-25, it is projected to increase over what was budgeted for the beginning of 23-24. Primary reasons for this are that capital projects, which were funded out of the reserve funds, have not been completed as planned, and property tax revenue collections are much higher than anticipated. Again, the benefit of the conservative nature of the Columbia 911 district in their budgeting and spending practice will allow the district to ask less of the taxpayers by offsetting funds from our reserve accounts to the request of a future bond for the new radio system. The slide shown shows a steady increase in our county's valuation from the beginning of 2016-17 to the current fiscal year, which shows a total assessed value for Columbia County for 24-25 is projected to be over 6.6 billion compared to last year's 6.4. This amounts to about a 4% increase over the prior year. Certainly a bad thing. This budget proposal is prepared utilizing funds received from the state of Oregon 911 excise tax funds, permanent property tax, and local option levy revenue. A measure renewing the 5-year local option tax is being submitted to the electors of the district this May. This is the first year of the receipt of that levy if it is approved by voters. The rate is 29 cents per thousand of assessed property value and has remained unchanged for over 25 years. This proposal utilizes the full taxing authority of the district's permanent tax rate of 25.54 cents per 1,000 of assessed property value within Columbia County, combined with the local option tax rate of 29 cents per 1,000 of assessed value. The taxes projected to be collected equals $3,452,483. Under the 911 excise tax funding mechanism, monthly $1.25 per phone line is charged to consumers, including prepaid wireless users, and collected by the phone service providers for the state revenue division. which then turns it over to the OEM, Oregon Emergency Management 911 program for management. A portion of these funds, which is 35%, that is collected are used by OEM's 911 program to pay for the purchase, installation, maintenance, upgrading, and database maintenance for Oregon's enhanced 911 service, which each PSAP in Oregon participates. Items paid for include emergency call delivery infrastructure and databases, hardware and software that makes 911 calls work. Call taking equipment and system management. GIS management, which is mapping. UPS, uninterrupted power source. Systems replacement and maintenance. And recently text and 911 technology. The program also funds the training and certification program for emergency medical dispatchers and emergency telecommunicators under the Department of Public Safety Standards and Training. Newly hired comp specs, in order to become certified, are required to attend a 3-week academy at the DPS facility in Salem. Proposed budget for fiscal year 24-25 will continue to afford the district a high level of service to our communities while meeting our cost containment goals, along with meeting our commitment to maximize the efficiency of our facilities, the effectiveness of technology and partnerships we have established. The district will continue to recruit, train, and retain up to our authorized staffing numbers during this fiscal year. Although staff will be challenged with planning the replacement and funding of our countywide radio system, we feel confident in the outcome, hard work by district staff members who have proven the dedication to ensuring Columbia 911's exceptional level of service. And with that, again, I'm going to publicly thank Mary Jo, Nikki, Danelle, and Nathan, who all play a part in building this budget. Thank you for your support and the board's help in guiding us and the wisdom that the budget committee provides us. So answer any questions, take any comments. Yeah.
What was the reason the district went from a current accounting system to a cash system?
I'm going to turn to, this was a recommendation from Mickey. I'll let you articulate that.
So the biggest reason why I suggested it, that we do that, is the requirements for GASB. GASB, you are only accountable to if you're an accrual basis business, government entity. If you're cash basis, you don't have to answer to GASB, and GASB keeps coming out with. Does everyone know what GASB is?
Government accounting. Just a business, I don't know.
Yeah, it's the standards by which government accounting is to follow, and we do follow. We just don't have to answer. One of the new things that GASB had come out with was all licenses that you are involved with, contract with, have to be reported. And this allows us to not have that, as so much so that we actually, prior to me coming on board, hired a company that was going to manage that for us. And I was able to not have to hire them and save us that money, because we don't have to follow those. That was one big reason. The second one is the accounting program that I am most familiar with, that I came from, which was in Washington and has expanded down into Oregon now, is called Springbrook. And that's what they do operate on. They don't operate on an accrual basis. So if I was going to come in here and bring in a new software program, I wanted to understand it before. I didn't want to have another learning hurdle to overcome. I wanted to come in with a program that I know works. Everybody seems to be happy with the program, but it's a cash basis program. Does that answer your question, Mike?
It does, and answered a different question. Thank you.
I'll have one more preemptive question. Answer for a preemptive question. Last year, this body asked about our auditor. That we've been with the same auditing firm for many years. Again, I will repeat that, yes, we are with a certain firm. We get a different staff auditors each year, but the question was asked. And the recommendation by this body to look into changing up our auditor. We heard you. That request was echoed at the first of this year by the board. Should we look into finding a new auditor? And we have started that process. We've started it. Mickey has done the research. She has a list of like 75 auditors, auditing firms. We paused the research because we had to get into budget build, but we're prepared as soon as we're done with really this meeting is what we've been working on for last couple of months. What we want to do is Mickey and I are going to pare down that list from 75 or 80, whatever it is, to a manageable number that the board is going to recommend, whether that's 3, 5, 6, 10, I don't care. They tell us what you want it pared down to. We will then vet that number and contact them, get a quote from them, bring it back to this body for action or not. We have talked to our peers, and I will tell you that everybody is having problems with their auditors. They're late. Our current audit is late, and it's 100% in their hands. And we would like to get started on our 23. Yes. 23. Can't get through 24 yet. But we want to get started on gathering everything, even to where we are and struggling with that. Not our side, but the auditor. So, but we're doing the legwork to bring it to the board this spring, summer.
Anybody else have any questions from Michael? Staff? Okay, next part of the agenda is set fiscal year 2024-25 budget meeting. The next. Any recommendations?
Which I think just, there's a proposed calendar on page 37.
The deadline for the proposed budget to be approved is May 3rd.
So we need to have a meeting before that.
Right, so sometime next week.
We have recommendation. For today.
What was it about next week, Mary Jo?
We just have to, the deadline for it to be approved is May 3rd, which is next Friday. So anytime next week, we can meet. Would be good.
May the 1st or May the 2nd for anybody?
First, in the afternoon is okay with me. Morning.
Have a problem in the morning, but I'm free all afternoon. From noon on
May 1st.
on May 1st. May 2nd.
Second is good.
I am gone. The Chiefs Conference, I think, is the first, second.
First and second, third.
I'm gone.
I have commitment from 10 till 1 that day. You do it before-
On Wednesday or Thursday?
On Thursday.
Do you?
I'm good either of those. Dee, did you say that the second was a problem for you or was okay?
No, it's fine.
Oh,
And what about the first?
First in the afternoon.
Afternoons is okay.
Same with me.
Morning not.
Shelley?
The afternoon.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
I can't do the afternoon
On what day?
on first.
How's the second look for you?
In the morning is fine. I'm gonna have a problem with any afternoon this time of year.
Potentially neither of those are the best date, but I'm fine with whatever. I have a good person I can report to if I have any issues.
About. Let's see.
Between the 2 days, the second would probably be the best for me.
how about like 10 o'clock or something on the second?
Does Tuesday work better for people? That would be the 30th of April.
That's an excellent day for me.
30th is out for me.
Good with either one.
For me,
I'm good with either one.
If the first we could do, if we could do it before 10, because I have to be out of here just at 10, I have to be in South Salem to meet my surgeon. And I've already moved it several times. I want to do it again.
So like 9 AM or?
Yeah, I could do that. Yeah, I could do 8, I could do 9
Can you be here by 9?
I can be here by 9.
on the first.
but you couldn't do it in the morning, right? Or me.
Right.
Is,
Yeah.
does virtual help?
Yeah, it does, but I'd rather not.
Okay. Respect that.
It's the only day I can do.
Second, third, well, it's due on the 3rd though, right?
Mhm. It usually has to be the deadline. We couldn't have it on the Friday. Or is it too?
I think we've always kind of wanted that 1 day buffer, just in the event that there's a dispute or discussion that we can't get to a vote.
Okay,
Not that that's ever happened, but I think that's the reason we've always wanted that 24 hours so that we could hold the meeting the next day if we needed to.
okay.
Yeah, it's just Wednesday, the first, I have a 9 AM meeting. I can't, and the chair can't miss that.
Where were we at on the second?
I could do it at 9 AM, 8 AM, on the second.
The public recommend, is the evenings available for anybody?
Yes.
Probably, yeah. May 2nd at 9 would work.
Okay, so Thursday the 2nd. That was good for you, Shelley, right? In the morning?
Yeah, by 9, I can be here by 9.
Oh, AM.
Does it not work for anybody in the morning of the second?
works
It
fine
does work.
here and works.
As long as it's before 10.
Bruce is probably out. Unless he knows.
Yeah.
Fine.
Be gone.
And Steve, who isn't here today, said he should be able to be available, you know, most likely any day next week, so. He just couldn't make.
Bob can't make it. I should be able to swing it. It's only gonna be for an hour or two.
or
Not
less.
forecasting anything, but it usually doesn't even take more than 15 minutes, but that's not to say that you won't have questions and it could be
Right.
longer.
Historically, it's been super.
Okay.
So we
Would you
want
be
to
in a
try for,
position to call in, Bruce, or?
Probably depends what times. I don't know what classes.
Schedules, yeah.
But yeah, if need be, I can call in if you need it for a forum.
Randy, I'm sorry, I didn't hear from you. How does it work for you? Okay?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so,
think they got one, two.
I work Monday, Tuesday, and Friday, so
okay. So,
Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
well, we would have a quorum then if the,
Yeah,
Six of you
we'd have
could.
at least 6 or 7.
really need just 5 for a quorum.
So Thursday,
If everything works for everybody, then how about the second?
And then if you just need to call it, just text me.
Okay,
Zoom in.
so we're looking at Thursday, the 2nd of May, 9 AM.
Correct.
Beauty,
Okay.
make it so.
Good.
You don't all have to be somewhere very often to get.
And if it's easier for you to Zoom, Shelley, I mean, we'll offer a Zoom link as well. So whatever is easiest for everybody.
Since you have anything else to do, if it's only gonna take, less than an hour.
Wait, it's driving over here, folks, good. I mean, I could be here. But
These at 9 AM. We'll go to the next. Don't have to vote for a date, right? We just set it.
Yeah, as long as it's a consensus.
Next thing is public comment. Mark, do you have anything?
No.
Randy, do you have anything you wanna add? No. E?
Just want to congratulate them on a beautiful budget document again. Got used to it over the years and keeping it up. Thank you.
Bruce? Rob? Henry?
I'm all good.
Kelly? Anybody? Okay. Anything last to?
I just, again, thank you guys for showing up. It's great.
Appreciate it.
I was in Utah last time.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Signal, and when I looked up, my wife was driving and I looked up, lost signal. Wow, this is a beautiful canyon. I mean, it's just it's like, wow, I would have missed it if. We'll adjourn the meeting until, or do we
We recess it.
recess it? That's right. Okay, we'll recess the meeting until May 2nd at 9 AM, the same location, or
Thank you.
Mike,